Hello, class. My name is Christopher Ite. Today I'll be talking about, in our discussion post uh, one, I'll be talking about America's God, from Jonathan Edwards to Abraham Lincoln, um, based off of the reading from Mark Knoll's book, Chapter 5, which covers Christian Republicanism. So, in this discussion, I'll be discussing a little bit about how mostly how the Great Awakening, scholars like George Whitefield, Jonathan Edwards, and Gilbert Tennant stressed Christian Republican and the Christian Republicanism in the ideals of how salvation through the church, salvation made us free from the bondage of sin, and gave man these ideals of liberty and also exerting his full being and creative gifts that God had given him into utilizing those talents full scale for the glory of God, and to live a free life based on those talents, glorifying God, which helped create a capitalist society and kind of caused the American colonials to rebel against this monarchy, this huge authority, the Anglican Church, and that was part of the Great Awakening. During that time, people began to unite Christian and Republican values, and also this was a time where there were many Anglo-French wars, the 7 Years' War. People began to view the French as the enemy, and had anti-Catholic, anti-monarchical sentiment because they viewed those institutions as oppressive. In particular, Jonathan Edwards preached about everlasting liberty from bondage and servitude, and the preachers of the Great Awakening paralleled salvation with salvation from tyranny and the political realm as well. And Whitefield, in particular, through his sermons, challenged the traditional notions of hierarchy. He encouraged and allowed the individual laity to perform Christian services that were in the historic preserve of the clergy. For example, the Anglican Church wanted people to submit to authority. They still had a hierarchy, and that's what the Puritans came to America to separate against. And this anti-establishment, this anti-hierarchical fervor sowed the seeds of the American Revolution. And that's what Whitefield and the preacher of the Great Awakening kind of moved towards as we move towards the American Revolution. And like I said, the Anglo-French wars didn't help that cause. It made people rebel against Catholicism and the very much the rules-based, old type of laws and church hierarchy that the Reformation worked so hard to get us away from. Samuel Davies of Virginia preached anti-Catholic and anti-French sermons in 1753, claiming that their liberties, properties, lives, and everything sacred are in danger due to an absolute monarch and the papacy, the great whore of Babylon and Rome, as Luther wrote against as well. Later on, in New Jersey, Jacob Green, who was a Presbyterian preacher, he put Christian Republican to use to criticize slavery, using Republican ideals of this freedom of mankind and the cause of liberty. In another source that I want to highlight, I looked up on the Jerry Falwell Library. According to an unconnected Whig's address of the public upon the present Civil War, the state of public affairs. This is written by a Brit, J. Kearsley in London. He wrote that the king demanded loyalty to his subjects, as the Anglican faith also dictates a hierarchy, and therefore the colonists should be obedient. Another source that I had was another book from Mark Knoll, which highlights this Christian republicanism. A History of Christianity in the U.S. and Canada was his book. And he said Reformed thinkers like Jonathan Edwards affirm the principles of political liberty, republicanism, and democratic opportunity embraced in the Revolution, and used ideals saying that we should trust God to use one's energies and talents to the fullest in a new American nation, embracing Republican ideals of freedom and liberty and brotherhood to all mankind. And signing off.